Good morning, everybody. My name is Pankaj Koirala. I am a PhD candidate from Kochi University of Technology. Today, I'm going to present one of my research paper in my PhD course, and the title is Resource Sustainability on Life Expectancy, Successor, and Accountability. So, major outline of this paper that is at the very beginning. I'll start with the background and motivation. At the middle, I'll explain how we do the experiment in the field. And at the end, I will discuss bit result discussion followed by the conclusions and the limitation. So at the very background, in the background of the motivation, why we want to do this research, I want to explain. The world has been facing or experiencing numerous sustainability problems, which has both current and the future implications. And some of the examples that we already know, that climate change, accumulation of the government debts, over exploitation of natural resources, loss of diversity, and so on. There are so many other social sustainability problems that we are experiencing, and the climate change is considered to be the very high profile problem. So this is what is happening in the current contemporary world. But at the same time, we are also seeing there are many changes in the social and demographic parameters, such as the people's in the planet are moving very fast, which because of this, there is out-migration, in-migration, and because of the out-migration, depopulation is happening in some part of the area of the planet. On the other hand, there is urbanization. So according to the UN 2018 report, which predict that by 2015, that 70% of the world population is expected to live in the urban areas. This shows how the people are moving. At the same time, because of this, including the social mobility, the distribution of the demographic parameters, for example, the life expectancy and the aging of the societies and the declining level of the number of the successors in the society is also happening. And the same subsequent, the UN predicted, UN report 2019 predicted that the population above 80 years are likely to be increased by 3 times by 2050. This shows how the social and the demographic parameters are changing over the time. So these changes are considered to be very important for the resource sustainability according to the Aldous et al. 2014. So based on this background, we are motivated. This research is motivated to understand how sustainability of the resources is affected by the changes in the demographic parameters. So we did some literature review in the past, how they analyze the resource sustainability. So we find some of the literatures in the past. So some theoretical and empirical studies find that the life expectancy have positive effects on people's individual behaviors. And at the same time, another group of studies find that the existence of successors are very important for the continuation of the families, organizations, and societies. But there are very few literature that has been conducted at the individual level. That one of the example is the Sain et al., who conducted an experiment, design and conducted one experiment in which he analyzed the paper analyzed intergenerational sustainability at the laboratory setting. So overall, this past literature have shown that the life expectancy and existence of success are very important factors to explain individual economic behavior. However, there is a gap. So there are no many studies that have been conducted at the individual level in relation to the life expectancy and the existence of successor in a single analytical framework. So open question here comes, how individuals' behavior for sustainability is affected by these factors, these changes in the demographic parameters. So to answer these questions, we design and conduct an experiment in Nepal. So in the urban and the rural areas of Nepal with 311 subjects. And for the urban area, Kathmandu is selected which is also the capital city of Nepal, and Sindhu, Palchok, and Darjeeling districts as a rural areas are selected for the study purpose. We also conduct the sustainability gain among those subjects followed by the social value orientation and the socio-demographic questionnaires. So this map shows the study area for our study. So this is the first is the Nepal's map, and the later one is the districts that where we conducted the experiment. So I will explain what is the sustainability game. The sustainability game is a experiment for individual to understand the individual behavior, in which a subject is probabilistically determined to live up to next period, as shown in the figure. The green one is the first individual. Then if he or she has to live for the next period, her to survive until next period, her life expectancy will determine, or probabilistically, that we parameterize by the strategy method. As the game proceed, the same probability method, survival probability would determine her life for the next period. So the sustainability game, as explained by the previous panelist, Sibli Shahriar. So same framework also works here. However, I'm going to explain here as well. So each subject here is asked each period. So here each period to choose either maintaining sustainability. So sustainability is option A. We should consider here option B as a sustainability, or maximize her current payoff by possibly imposing an irreversible cost of 300. That is options A. So when the subject is asked to choose between option A and option B, by choosing option A, the person can get 1200 by maximizing her payoff at the current period. But when she chooses options A in the current period, the payoff for the future period will be declined by 300. And by choosing in the next period, by choosing options A, she will receive only 900 by choosing options A, while choosing option B, she will get only 600. On the other hand, so when the person chooses options B in the current period and decide to sustain the resources, the next period she can experience the same decision-making environment as like a current period. So overall, the experiment proceed forward. So in this experiment, subject goes through the 5 survival probabilities that we parameterize by the strategy method to incorporate life expectancy. The value of survival probability are 0.95, 0.75, 0.50, 0.25, and 0.10. And 1 binding scenarios for the payments to the subjects. The first generation always starts with the payoff of 1200 when she chooses A in all the scenarios. So I'll explain how we determine the life expectancy and how we materialize in the game. So we prepare a set of lotteries that consist of white and red chips to materialize the survival and death probability in the game. So when she chooses in the option A or B, so she need to pick up a lottery to decide her survival probability in the game, so that survival probability will decide whether she can continue the game for the next period or not. So this death probability is the same as the game proceed. If she survives, she will continue the next next period and decide between options A and B, and continuously it goes. So for example, when the survival probability is 0.95, then the subject needs to draw a chip from a bag containing 20 chips, where there will be a 19 white chip as a 19 white chip and only 1 red chip. That means when the red chips comes, when she pick up the red chips, then her survival probability means she will die in the game and she can no more continue the game. So likewise, when the survival probability is 0.75, a subject needs to draw a chip from a bag containing 20 chips, where she will be there will be 15 white and only 5 red chips. So means picking red chips again terminate the game for her in the game. So from this, what we can say is the game can end in two ways. When the first one is the subject faces the probabilistic, that means occurrence of a red chips upon drawing from a lottery, and the another is the if the subjects exhaust the resources. So in summary, the one person goes through the 5 survival scenarios that is shown in the table. So, and each in each scenarios, or in each scenarios, the she will make the decisions from 1 to n, and from that she will get the different payoff for in each scenarios. So, but all the scenarios are not going to be selected or not going to be included for to determine her payment in the game, but only one is randomly selected to determine her payoff. So, and we devised 3 treatments, and these 3 treatments are the no successors, and existence of successors, and the intergenerational accountability. In the no successor, a subjects play the SG, means the sustainability game, without considering the subsequent subjects. Means the process I explained before, a person will play 5 survival scenario and make the decisions under the scenarios without considering the subsequent subjects until her probabilistic death in the game. So in the existence of successor, she will continue the game like the no successor, but she will consider the subsequent subjects. So once the probabilistic death is realized by the subject, then the subsequent subjects will take over the game and continue the process until the another person come, and the process will continue until the initial resource X becomes 0. So this process will shows that okay, and in the intergenerational accountability is like a existence of successors, but additionally what the subjects need to do is they need to transfer a set of written reasons and advice for a decision to the subsequent subjects. So this is the what we do in the experiment, and we do some statistical analysis to find what we find in the experiment. So we find that we conduct some statistical analysis and the regression analysis, and our major findings are as follows. We find that the every 10% increase in the life expectancy is likely to increase resource sustainability by 3.03%. And another finding is that subjects are 10.1% less likely to maintain sustainability when there are no successor to continue the resources. This is what we find considering the successor of existence of successor as a baseline, and we think that how there is no if there is no successor, how it will affect the resource sustainability. This can be flipped in another way and can be explained in different way as well. So subjects are 10.1% more likely to maintain the sustainability when there are successor to continue the resources. So another major finding we find is that the successor with IEA mechanism are 11.5% more likely to maintain the sustainability than those of the successor without IEA. So the additional finding, we do some kind of interaction effect between the life expectancy and the treatments, and what we find is the IEA mechanism becomes more effective with an improvement in the life expectancy. This is our overall findings, and we try to explain what could be the major mechanism that makes this treatment successful. So we explain the why ES existence of successor is important and how it can induce people to maintain the sustainability. We think that there are 2 possible channels. One channel is the information of the futures. By receiving the information of the future generation through ES, people might have induced for sustainability, and the reason might be that it can trigger legacy and generativity motives. On the other hand, it can induce people to induce the generalized reciprocity, which is equivalently reported as a paid forward reciprocity, and which can induce people to maintain the gifts that they received from the previous generation and pass to the next generation. So this process, this explanation in the IA also, it continues, and the IA augments these effects of the IES by inducing more sympathy in the people, and when they are asked to write reason and advice to the subsequent generation. At the same, as I explained before, it might trigger legacy and generative motives that ES introduce, and the additional that IA through its one-way information transfer from previous generations to the previous generations' knowledge and lesson of managing resources means this will help them, the subsequent generation, to maintain the sustainability. The major implications from this discussion, the findings and the discussion, what we can say is that we need to improve the life expectancy and policy and initiatives for the population and redistribution, such as the transmigration and the ruralization, along with the IA mechanism to arrange the successors pool. So to conclude my session, my presentation, I would like to conclude that life expectancy and the existence of successor and IA can induce people to maintain the resource sustainability. There are some limitations as well to understand why we could not answer in an explicit way that how ES and IA mechanism works. But that's why we need further experiment and the research that can be done by the qualitative studies, and we must move forward confirming the lingering effect as well. This is the conclusion and the limitations. Sorry for being a bit delayed. Thank you so much.